Hi, everyone. Hi, and welcome to today's webinar on AI and how you can use it to better your social media strategy. I'm Anka, and I will be your host today. And before we begin, I just wanted to get a few things out of the way. So while I do that, I'm going to ask you a question. Are you or are you not using AI in your social media strategy yet? Let's see. Also, you can type in the chat if you have any comments, if you want to tell me where you're watching from, anything like that. I'd love to hear from you. In the meantime, I am looking for my colleague, Andrea, who will be joining us live in the call so that she is here to just be in the call with you in the chat, actually. So she'll be helping out with anything chat related if you're having any issues or anything like that. In the meantime, I also wanted to let you know that this webinar is recorded. So if you're not able to stay throughout the entire session, which is going to be 2 hours long, you will be able to see it all in the recording later. So that's also an option. And we will have 4 amazing speakers today, 4 amazing sessions packed with information. I can see that the replies on whether you're using AI or not are 50-50. So I'm going to leave that open a little longer. And I can see people joining in from all around the world. I can see Germany, I can see Nigeria, I can see Florida, Africa, South Africa, Arizona. So there's a lot of people from around the world. So good morning, good evening, good afternoon, depending on where you're from. Once again, I'm Anka. I will be your host for today. And let's actually talk about what we're going to go through in today's session. So I'm closing the poll now, and I'm going to share my screen for a second here. You should be able to see my screen. Can you see it okay? Let's see. Can I get a confirmation? Perfect. Cool. So today's webinar is all about AI-powered strategies and how you can use this to make your digital marketing smarter. We have 3 amazing partners here with us from Smart Sites, ClickUp, and Aweber. And together with us here at Social Bee, we're going to give you a jam-packed session with a lot of valuable information. This is the agenda for today. So there's going to be 4 30-minute sessions on each of the topics, starting with Kimber Heinz from Smart Sites, who is going to kick your creative block and is going to tell you how AI can improve your social media strategy. On next, we will have Chris Cunningham from ClickUp, who will talk about how AI will shape the future of social media marketing. Next, we're going to mind the gap with Chris Vasquez, who will tell us all about how you can fill in the holes in your audience profiles with AI. And last but not least, I will share some tips and tricks on how you can do effective social media management by using AI for scheduling and analytics purposes. This is a lot. So let's go into the first topic of today. Together with me, we're going to have Kimber Heinz, who is the director of social media at Smart Sites. She is an experienced digital marketing professional with over 1 decade of experience in social media. And if you're not familiar with Smart Sites, they are an award-winning digital marketing agency that offers effective SEO, web development, PPC, social media, and email marketing services, catering to clients from all around the world. So let me stop sharing my screen and looking for Kimber so that I can invite her as a panelist. Let's see. She will be joining us any second now. Hi, Kimber.
Hello, everyone. How are you doing today?
Good morning. Thanks for joining us.
Yeah, thank you for having me. I'm very excited about this.
You too. So how did you start your morning? Ready to share information?
Every morning working in social media is a little bit hectic. We are always facing meta issues and everything else. So far, so good, though. So doing pretty good today.
Awesome. So I won't keep it any longer. I'll stop my microphone, stop my camera. You can share your screen and go about it. And at the end of this session, we will have a Q&A session. So everyone, if you have any questions for Kimber, add them in the Q&A box in here, and I will address them to her at the end of the session. Good luck.
Thank you. Thank you for the intro. As stated, my name is Kimber Hines. I'm the Director of Social Media Department for Smart Sites. We are an award-winning digital marketing agency. So it's a very exciting role that I have in my career. I will go ahead and share my screen here. All right. And I will share my slideshow and we will dive in here. I always like to start these presentations with a little fun fact. I'm a huge data head, so these are always fun for me. One question I get consistently from my clients is, does my business really need to be on social media? Or another really great one, is social media still going to be around in 5 years? My answer is always absolutely yes, over and over and over. I don't see social media going away. I don't see it dying out. If anything, it's going to get stronger because we live in a very tech-driven world, a very virtual world. So I think social media is going to continue to play a very strong role in this. Just for a fun fact, there are 3.5 billion people using social media every day, and people spend on average 2 hours a day on social media. Unless you're like me, then it's easily 5 to 10 hours a day, partially work, partially because I can't get away from TikTok myself. But the biggest question is, I know I need to be on social media as an entrepreneur, as a business owner, as a professional, but how do you find time? So today we're going to go over how to use AI for creating your strategy, topics and captions, which is one way that AI can drastically help if you feel a creative block, which we all do from time to time, or time is an issue for you in general. We'll discuss how it can be used on social media to improve your customer service, and also the current challenges and all the negativity surrounding AI, because these, as a director of a social media department for a national agency, this is something that I also face questions on quite often. Okay, so let's go ahead and dive in here. Just so you're aware, if you see me looking off to the side, it's because I actually have 3 screens and I'm probably going to be bouncing back and forth between them. All right, so we're going to start with creating strategies, topics, and captions. Let's start with strategy because that should be one of your first steps when coming to your social media. For AI, with proper prompts, you'll be able to quickly and effectively generate a starting point for your social media strategy. I recommend starting with a 3-month strategy, as all strategies should be audited quarterly at minimum, if possible, for performance purposes. Tailor this to your individual goals and your client or your business or your industry. Again, maybe you only want to do month-over-month strategies, completely up to you and your situation. But again, to reiterate, you should be auditing this at least quarterly. This is, again, going to differ by business and industry. You should also be tailoring to specific platforms as well. Platforms such as Facebook, Instagram, they can be very similar. They have different posting times that are ideal, stuff like that. But when you get into TikTok or Pinterest, those are completely different strategies. So I always highly recommend that you are customizing your strategy by platform. You should be using this as a starting point as well, not a final product. You're going to hear me share this sentiment often throughout this presentation. AI, anything generated not by a human, should be used as a starting point or for research. It's not handing you something finalized, and we'll kind of get into more of why that is upcoming. So prompt example for creating a 3-month Facebook strategy. I'm going to use an HVAC company because that's what I've been working on this week as an example here. So create a 3-month Facebook strategy for an HVAC company. If you want to get even more specific, because the more detail, the better, you could simply add into your prompts, create a 3-month Facebook strategy for this company and link to the website. AI, specifically ChatGPT, definitely has the ability to scan specific websites. So always keep that in mind as well. Okay, so using AI to understand what an engaging post even is. If anybody has ever posted to social media or sat down to work on your company or your brand's, strategy in general, this can be a big creative block for a lot of people. By giving ChatGPT or Bard, which is Google's AI chatbot, a few examples, details, products, services, you can use it as a brainstorming partner to identify topics or information that would create engaging content. Again, take it with a grain of salt. You always need to be putting that human aspect, your brand's tone, voice, goals, and stuff like that into this as well. It's not going to hand you something that I recommend you use as a finalized product. But yes, so definitely can make some recommendations on engaging content. Topics. So let's dive into some topic creation here. Topics and captions are actually going to be the two parts of this that are going to save you the most amount of time. And I manage a team of project managers. I drill this in their head all the time, and we actually work on a prompt guide to assist us with this because we are a high volume agency. We work with a lot of industries, a lot of different brands and businesses and clients. Sometimes we're creating easily anywhere from 500 to 1,500 posts a month. So it gets a little bit out of control, but diving into topics here. Once you have a finalized strategy, or you know what you want to be posting around, what your goals are, kind of what your game plan is going to be, you can also use AI to help you create a list of topics. Let's see here. So there are two ways to do this, basically. Both of them serve a purpose. Again, it's just going to depend on what your goal is, what you're looking for. The first way is creating topics using a source. With AI, you can easily generate multiple topics from one source. By source, I mean a whole website, a pamphlet of information by copying and pasting the text over. You cannot upload PDFs and stuff like that yet. I kind of expect that to happen in the near future, but who knows at this point.
Honestly, I would love for that to happen soon.
I know a lot of our data comes from, we can export into Excel sheets or Google Sheets. Like that would just be really amazing if I could upload data, analytics, PDFs that clients provide us. Clients provide me brand book brochures. Like it would be so helpful. But right now we're just utilizing web links. So hopefully in your future. Anyway, so we primarily use ChatGPT this way using a specific source, unless we need very up-to-date data. I can have it easily create 15 to 20 topics for a particular website or web page in 60 seconds or less. It's very, very efficient. The only time I run into issues with it is if too many people are using it. It will tell you there's too many inquiries going on right now. I have not seen that in a while, so I do think they're improving that technology as well. A few notes on this. Not all of them are usable or 100% accurate. Again, going back to my earlier sentiment that it is not going to hand you a finalized product. It's not necessarily human, and it is only as good as the data that it feeds from. I typically would assume that I can use about 80% of what it spits back out to me. Spelling and grammar are almost always correct. I haven't had many issues with that, but I still recommend that you run stuff through a spelling and grammar checker as well. It's also
sorry to interrupt. I would add there that it might be better to just check your grammar, especially if it's not English.
Absolutely. I also recommend that everybody runs everything they do through AI through an AI checker as well.
Yes.
We've got certain standards at Smart Sites. We have specific ones we use. I know there's a lot of free ones, there's paid versions, but it will give you a general idea of if it's going to be detected by Google or anybody else's plagiarism as, not accurate. So there's a lot of resources and tools out there for that as well. And we do utilize those, and I highly recommend those also. It's important to be as specific as you can when using prompts. For example, it's really best to say, create 15 short topics for Twitter from this website versus create 15 topics from this site I can use for social media. Again, we're going back to the platform specific. Twitter obviously is a character limit. Facebook and Instagram really doesn't matter, but should we be posting paragraphs of information? Not really best practices. And sometimes AI, ChatGPT, gets a little bit carried away depending on the topic. If it's a very generalized or an easier topic to find information on, sometimes it will spit out a whole paragraph of information to you. So I like to give it adjectives such as short or bullet points. You can also ask it to use bullet points. You can give it character limits. You can also write captions and prompt it right after that by saying rewrite for Twitter, and it will alter all those original captions as well. But we'll get into that shortly as well. We're on topics right now. You can also use the same type of prompt using copy and paste information. Again, going back to kind of what I was talking about earlier, right now it only has the ability to read web links, web pages, stuff like that. It can't read PDF documents, Excel sheets. However, you can copy and paste that type of information into ChatGPT, and it will scan that information to help you create topics out of. You don't always have to use a source. I do like to use sources for accuracy since AI pulls from so many sources unless prompted otherwise. But this also brings me to my second point, my second way of using this for topics. The other way to create bulk topics, and when I say bulk, I'm saying 15, 20, sometimes up to 50 at a time, depending on what your goal is here, because that's what's going to make this more efficient for you and help you save a lot of time when it comes to creating and scheduling out your social media. But just using generalized keywords and prompts. You can generate a list of potential topics using short prompts and keywords. Using just simple keywords is also going to assist with creating very large topic lists, because if it's more generalized or if they're common keywords, it's going to have more data and information to pull from. For example, create 20 social media topics for an HVAC company. That is probably an okay way to address this industry specific, because most HVAC companies are going to perform the same services, have the same type of advice and stuff. Now, if you work for a super niche business or industry where you only want it utilizing very specific information, this is where you should be using the source like a web page or something like that. Again, the more specific, the better. You don't always have to use a source in business, but it really is best, and at very, very minimum, use an industry and some descriptive keywords as well. Okay, diving into captions here, same kind of concept here, but a little bit different. Creating multiple captions from one source or about one topic. Again, bulk creation is going to be your friend when it comes to efficiency. A lot of times too, I will put my prompts in and have it up on another screen while I'm working on other things, and I kind of bounce back and forth. It allows you to multitask a lot easier as well. Just like topics, you can now take these topics in the same thread or start a new chat, completely up to you, and prompt it to create captions. Depending on the needs of the platform, be specific in your ask. For example, using the prompt, create 20 Twitter captions about why a business should utilize social media. This will easily come up with captions that are appropriate for Twitter. And again, I use about 80% of what it gives me. However, I always edit them myself. I add in our business tone. If I don't agree with it as the expert in the situation for our company, I will alter that as well. Events, we can also create bulk captions for events, upcoming sales, anything that you have information to feed it on. So for example, if you give it some information or a link to a resource or a web page, if you've got a landing page, and tell it some specifics. An example could be create 5 posts about our upcoming sale using this information, copy and paste it from the brochure or the sales slide, whatever it is you're using, or link to, the landing page. It can help you generate posts and information regarding upcoming events and sales as well. So a tip I have written down here, ask it to use hashtags and emojis as well. This will also save you a lot of time if this is something that you feel you should be using in your social media content strategy. For example, create 15 captions using emojis and hashtags about why a business should redesign their website. It does a really good job. I haven't really had any issues with the emojis. I only had one that I actually created yesterday. It put 20 emojis in there, a little bit overkill. So again, it's going to take some human editing, but it does a bulk of the work for you, which is really, really nice. Some pros and cons of AI for caption and topic creation. Again, we at Smart Sites heavily use ChatGPT as our starting point, as our creativity. If we need some other ideas and we're just kind of hitting that creative block, ChatGPT is amazing for that. Keep in mind, though, a lot of AI can be a little bit dated as well. ChatGPT, I believe, only will go over information up to 2021. It has no new relevant information from 2021 to 2023. So depending on what you're asking of it, this is going to, tell you how to do stuff. Use a resource. For example, if you're looking for social media trends of 2023, I would research and find a couple articles to give it to create topics or captions off of, because it's not going to have 2023 information. However, Google's AI, Bard, that's one we've also been lightly playing with. That pulls directly from Google searches and basically the whole internet. So that one can pull very recent and relevant information. I prefer ChatGPT because I can put in a prompt, it will generate my results. I can create a new one, start doing another one, and it saves on the side all of my prompts. So I can always go back to it and grab information from it as needed or revisit it with Google. So with Bard, it will save your prompts, but it does not save the results. So keep that in mind as well. I always recommend utilizing multiple different AI services for different reasonings. Okay, so moving on to hashtags. AI is a really great way to help you generate hashtag lists as well. give AI the industry service or website and ask for relevant hashtags. Again, I like to create groups of hashtags for individual services. So for smart sites, I would have it create 10 potential hashtags in regards to search engine optimization or social media management or email marketing, whatever it is. And then I copy and paste those down. I always double check my hashtag use either in platform, so on Instagram, Twitter, anything like that, or with a research tool similar to like Display Purposes. That's a free one that gives you some pretty good insights. Display Purposes will give you the relevancy. It will list out other potential hashtags that are relevant to those ones, and it will tell you how many posts are associated with it at the time. Again, choosing hashtags, it's a fine balance. You don't want it to only have 2 posts associated with it because it won't get you much organic reach or traction. But you also don't want it to have 10 million posts because it'll be very saturated. So definitely feel free to have it create you some hashtags as well. Great starting points. Okay, let me find my mouse here and we'll go on to the next one. Improving your customer service. Most people have been utilizing AI for a long time and don't even realize it. AI has been all over the media in the past, probably 6 months, probably 8 months actually. But a lot of people have been using it for a long time and don't even realize it. We've had a chatbot on the Smart Sites website since I started at least 2 years ago, and I guarantee it was there even before me. Chatbots are a really great way to utilize AI, but it needs to, again, be taken with a grain of salt as well. So we can use these that integrate with your social media channels to improve and strengthen your customer service. Chatbots do provide instant answers to questions, which is the big pro to it. You wouldn't have to live in your messenger all day long, stuff like that. They can help with light decision-making and guide customers through processes that you do set in place. When needed, chatbots can send customers to either a live human, a number to call, or a contact form, which I highly recommend if an escalation occurs or if it's not able to answer questions that is being asked. I recommend you always utilize call to actions and chatbot responses as a way to drive more traffic to your website, drive interest to lead forums, and keep clients engaged. Again, I recommend, sorry about that. I recommend you use them very, very lightly. We are starting to see a shift in customer service a little bit. So back in the early 2000s, late 90s, not to age myself, it used to be people loved that one-on-one interaction with sales reps, with customer service. And technology started taking over and people are like, oh, this is great. It's amazing. It's quick and easy. I don't have to sit on a phone on hold for 20 minutes. But now we're starting to see a slight shift back. People are getting frustrated with technology because it's either not providing them exactly what they're looking for and it's hard to get in touch with somebody. Large corporations are laying off customer service representatives, so there's less of them when they are needed. So again, use this for the very basic information, basic Q&A, basic directions, hours. If it's anything complicated, I highly recommend you still have a human element here. They're a great asset, but a lot of people do become easily agitated with not speaking with a human. Know what questions, inquiries for your business will be quick and easy for chatbots to answer. That would be a positive experience for your audience members. But also, more importantly, know what a more touchy or time-consuming subject is that needs either the empathy or response of a real representative as well. Okay, moving on here. Challenges in AI. So obviously, with all new technology, especially something like this that relies heavily on data and information, there are concerns with AI here. My first concern is it is not perfect yet. I don't think it'll ever be perfect. Again, I think there's always going to need to be a human element here. As much as you can definitely have ChatGPT write in a tone, you can tell it write in a serious tone. You could say, rewrite this in a funny manner. You can also have it mimic a specific writing style. So for example, if I was writing an announcement post and I wanted it to sound like one of our owners, Mike Mellon or something like that, I could say, write an announcement post about this with this writing style and copy and paste a sample of his writing. 2 to 3 sentences typically is pretty sufficient. And it does a pretty good job about writing in that tone. However, again, it's not perfect. Always check for accuracy, sources of content, that kind of stuff. Again, using those AI detection softwares is definitely something I highly recommend. Always edit or add in your own touch for originality, brand voice, etc. And always double check the effectiveness of hashtags with a third-party tool as well. Again, it can pull information, but if you're using ChatGPT, it's pulling probably information that is only relevant to your prompt. And it only has information up until 2021 at this point. Moving on to my next point, data privacy and ethics. This is a big one that I'm only going to touch on lightly because we only utilize this for social media. We're not talking about, checking out on a website or, bank information and stuff here today. But AI relies mostly on data, and this does raise red flags with a lot of users. Make sure you are always compliant with whatever software you're using, with your client's privacy, whatever your privacy policy is, and just use it responsibly. Basically, don't use it for a negative manner by all means. It really should be used for creativity, writing blocks, and strategizing. Misinformation, always, again, double check information given from AI for accuracy, and don't use it what's given word for word, because it has been flagged for me a few times as either plagiarized or you can definitely tell AI uses it. You don't get dinged from an SEO standpoint as much as what they originally thought, because they've lifted a lot of that, but it's still good to be original in all of your content. Adaptability. While some AI software has been around for some time, it is overall still quite new. As we all know, social media trends, user needs, interest in technology changes extremely fast. So make sure if you're utilizing an AI-based software or tool, you're choosing one that is updated regularly, adapts on a regular basis, or at minimum, how often it's updated or when it was updated, so you can always fact check yourself. Shift in human experience here. So again, I kind of touched on this a little bit earlier, but with the growth of technology is the growth of using AI for more and more customer service needs. There's a fine line between what needs to be monitored closely, between giving consumers a better, more efficient experience and frustrating them. So be aware of that. Pay attention to what your users are saying, comments, messages, emails, that kind of stuff, so you know where that fine line lays within your business. From an employee standpoint, I hear this one a lot. A lot of employees feel either threatened by AI, overwhelmed with one more thing they have to learn and utilize, or using proper AI tools in general. Using it properly should be something that helps, not hurts or threatens. So if you're a business here today and you're considering using AI, or you already do, even if you have not been asked by your team or you have not heard this concern, know it is probably in the back of their mind. So as management, as somebody who is making these decisions, make sure and reassure them it should be a tool for us to use. It is not going to replace anybody, because then that causes a little bit of conflict in the workplace. And sometimes if they haven't expressed that, they would never know. Nobody, management included, would never know that exists or where it's coming from. Bias and quality. This is something I've read a little bit about too. I haven't noticed it personally for social media use, but a lot of AI algorithms and results produced will be a result of the training data by the creator or whatever is available to it to search. So keep that in mind as far as bias. Again, I'm always searching kind of generic or using specific resources. So as long as you're utilizing it with best practices, that really should not be a huge issue for you. Some AI only searches info from certain time frames, meaning it could be outdated. Again, we've touched on that multiple times as well. Special offer by us. So we are offering everybody who attended this webinar a couple different things here. 15% off social media solutions if you're looking for actual social media management. I'm happy to also offer you free social media audits. These audits are actually done by me on my own. We go over competitive research, analytics of your account's performance, what threats we're facing, what could be an easy win, how to get you some of that low hanging fruit, stuff like that. So I'd be happy to offer that to you as well. I also do have a Chat GPT prompt guide. I would love to offer everybody on this call if you're just getting started with it, if you'd like to start playing around with it, pros and cons, best ways to use it, stuff like that. If you would like to take advantage of any of this, feel free to email me. My email is here on this screen. It is just kimber@smartsites.com, and you could just mention this webinar name in that email, and I'd be happy to discuss any of this with you.
Awesome. So I guess it's time for the questions. We do have a few questions. First of all, someone in the chat has asked at some point, you mentioned a hashtag tool. Could you repeat the name of that tool just to make sure that it's the right one?
Yeah. The one we use at Smart Sites right now is called Displaces.
Sorry, I couldn't hear you properly.
The one we use at Smart Sites right now is called display purposes.
Display purposes, correct. Good. So then the right one was provided. Awesome.
Yes.
Thanks for that. So then on to the question. I have 5 questions here for you. The first one is, what AI checker do you recommend?
That is a really great question. I'd actually have to look at my internal list. My project managers use them, and I'm happy to provide that to you as a follow-up email as well.
Perfect. We'll include it in the follow-up then.
Yeah, I've got a couple paid and free ones, so I could provide you all of them just to give you multiple realms of them.
That's awesome. Okay, then I'm on to the next question. Do you have, oh, wait, it's the same one. Do you have any recommendation for AI checkers? So I guess we've already went through that. The next question, I find that the character limits don't work really well with AI. What's the best way to prompt for that?
Yeah, great question. So I haven't personally had any issues giving it character limits, but what I will say is 100% of the time, if I say write a caption for Twitter, it follows it very, very well. And I would also recommend not just saying short captions. If you're experiencing issues with it, say 280 character limit. So if you get super, super specific, it shouldn't give you any issues.
Yes, that's correct. Okay, next question. It seems that AI can express a lot of tones, emotions, etc. Is there anything that you have noticed that it doesn't do well?
That's a good question. Yeah, actually, I have. So a couple things. ChatGPT does not seem to be able to replicate human experience or feelings well. So if you're saying, write a post about my experience in Germany, it's not going to do it because it couldn't feel what you felt when you were there. Those types of posts. And if your goal on social media is storytelling, specifically your experience, your stories, how you got to where you are, AI cannot replicate that for you. What it can replicate is specific tones, like write this in a serious tone, make it funny. But that's the other thing I run into as well. If I tell it to rewrite it in a funny tone, what I find funny and what AI finds funny sometimes are two very, very different things. Sometimes it's really, really corny. I actually was just discussing with one of the owners of the company. I'm like, you know, like you hear about dad jokes. It's like,
yeah, I agree with you.
from AI, bad marketing because they're bad.
Yep. Okay, follow-up question to the character limit one. Steve says that he already did that with ChatGPT and did not work.
Intriguing. I have never had it not work on ChatGPT. Have you tried Bard by chance? Because I do find Bard, although I like some features of ChatGPT a little bit better, Bard does give you a little more accurate information, but again, it doesn't save your responses, so copy and paste them down. Also try, the other thing I would try is start a new chat within ChatGPT, like a new inquiry, and say, please rewrite this caption for Twitter. Start it in a whole new thread, because not necessarily with character limits, but from time to time, what I've noticed, if I just keep going in the same thread, it almost seems to get a little bit confused sometimes, like which post or which response is it supposed to be pulling information from. So if you start a fresh chat, try it that way and see if it works. If not, I would recommend trying Bard. ChatGPT, because it hasn't been updated since 2021, first of all, it could have wrong character limits, even though I've never had that issue myself. And second of all, it is still in trial and error phase. And obviously Google is one of the biggest tech companies in the entire world. It's going to have more power behind it, in my opinion.
Yeah, I agree. Awesome. Then we also have another question on AI checkers. And just to reiterate, we will send a list of checkers that Kimber recommends in the follow-up email. So I'll skip that one for now. And the final question that we have for you, and then we'll hop on to the next session, is this one. I often get super professional messages done by ChatGPT, and when I ask for something casual, it takes it way too far, starting messages with "sup, dude." What is a prompt or wording that I can use to help with this? I actually have this problem as well.
I'm kind of jealous. I've never had this problem, because in my group chat with my project managers, we post the silly stuff that maybe AI produces for us and stuff like that. So this would be a good funny one. I would not recommend using the word casual then. I would actually kind of reverse back and say in a professional tone, because professional doesn't mean serious. It doesn't mean by the book. Like if we're talking in legal terms, it doesn't mean by the book. I would just try to use descriptive words and adjectives that are not funny, that are not lighthearted, but maybe or laid back. Try the word laid back. I've had really great experiences with the word laid back. Or give it writing samples too. That definitely helps because it can.
Yeah, I do informal a lot, and it seems to be friendly, and informal seem to work well with a chill approach on social
not
media.
like so
Not subdued.
But subdued. We don't need any of that.
Exactly. Unless you do, in which case.
Well, in which case it's perfect then.
Awesome. And then another quick question popped up, and this is the final one, I promise. How do you keep ChatGPT from sounding like a horrible used car salesman?
This is actually why I use specific sources and writing samples as well. Because again, ChatGPT, AI in general, is only good as the data provided or the training or the algorithms that it has. It can get really corny sometimes. So I use writing samples to give it. I use web links. Also, this is also why I kept saying throughout the whole presentation, human interaction is going to be needed here. It is not meant to spit out something that is perfect, 100%, bam, done, perfect. I always end up swapping some of the words and the tone of it and stuff like that, because it can sound, for lack of better terms, it can sound like those bright yellow wow signs on comic books sometimes, and it's not great. But I would just recommend human editing at that point.
I agree. Well, thank you so much, Kimber. These were all the questions for today. The presentation was amazing. I've learned so much. I know now how to avoid subdued on AI. So I'll demote you back to attendee. You can hang around if you want to. Hopefully you will do so, and we'll talk later. Thanks so much for this session. Okay, so next up we have, we have Chris, which I'm going to promote to panelist now. And Kimber can go back to, oh, hold on. I'm sorry. Kimber
Hello.
can go back to attendee. Hi, Chris. Good morning. How are you doing?
Good morning. Good morning. Can you see me? Can you hear me? Are we all good?
I can hear you. I can see you. Everything's fine. How are you doing?
Right. I'm doing great. I'm excited. That was awesome from Kimber. I'm really, really excited to go off of hers. I think we go pretty well hand in hand. I'm also a fan of Smart Suites, so I've seen the site. I've seen what the websites they make. So I'm really excited to go after her.
Yeah, me too. Hold on. Sorry, I got nervous.
Take your time. We all get nervous.
Whew. Okay, let me go here. There we go. Ooh. So as I was introducing Chris, next up, Chris will be talking about how AI will shape the future of social media marketing. I'm actually super excited about this. But first, let's actually meet Chris. If you don't know who he is the head of influencer marketing over at ClickUp, an entrepreneur and a business executive, and dedicated to making project management accessible to everyone. And he continues to bring a lot of people to ClickUp through different various strategies, gaining over 40 million impressions per month to ClickUp. And if you're not familiar with ClickUp, sorry about that, it's a cloud-based productivity and project management tool designed to help individuals and teams organize their teams and manage their work better. So Chris, I'm going to stop sharing my screen and have you take it away.
I will take it over. All right, can everyone see my screen?
Yep. You can share the presenter view or just.
Yeah, I should probably do that, right?
Yeah, because it's easier.
Perfect. That probably looks better.
Yes.
All right. Hello. I am Chris Cunningham. I'm one of the founding members of ClickUp, and I've really found myself deep into AI. It wasn't totally on purpose, but here we are. So I'm excited to share with you kind of how I got here. We'll dive into AI and everything. So, my big way I love to start off with this is imagine a world where your business can deliver the right message to the right person at the right time on the right social media platform without lifting a finger. Look, we're not there yet, but it is cool to think about how we can get there, right? Social media is literally blowing up with AI. And what I'll do today is I'll kind of explore how AI can take so many different visions you have without replacing jobs, but help you kind of grow anything you thought of in business, and especially in social media marketing. But first, before we do that, let's just be honest. AI is everywhere. It's everywhere on social media. It doesn't matter where you look, what platform you love to use, AI is coming up into your platform. It was slow at first. First, it was just news, right? AI is coming. Then there were resources. Then there were tools. Now, I don't know if it's just my, algorithm or what they've taught me, because I love AI so much. You can't scroll 3 or 4 different pieces without seeing something about AI. Maybe a new platform coming up. Maybe a new competitor jumping in. Oh, Meta is now getting involved in AI. Right now, it's Google. And it's, Microsoft's ChatGPT, they've now jumped into. But I mean, look, so many more popping in. Meta, we're going to see more competitors jump in. So now talking about how AI is everywhere. Look, it's partially my fault. When it first came out, very first came out, I did this tweet, and it was the second most viral tweet of the day behind Elon, because I think he obviously probably gets a little more clout than me and maybe can set up the algorithm to do so. But I had this first tweet where I said, hey, look, ChatGPT is a free marketing assistant, but most people don't know how to use it. And at the time, most people were building prompts, maybe like 10 to 15, these little prompts. So I built 165 marketing prompts, just a resource. And I obviously put that resource in a ClickUp doc so we could get that traction. But this blew up. Everyone wanted to learn these prompts. And it's really cool to see Kimber giving them away afterwards. I think they're so valuable. And if you're not using them, you should find them. Hers is, I'm sure, amazing. We have tons as well, an entire library. I have them built inside ClickUp and templates as well, based on your niche. So whatever you need, it's there prompt-wise, and I will share how you can get those afterwards. But it doesn't matter, especially if you're on Twitter, you're going to see so many different tweets going viral talking about auto GPT, which is down the road. There'll be agents that can book your travel for you, order for you, know your Amazon orders, all of these things in the future. But it has taken over, right? It's almost annoying. And I hate seeing it now too, because so many people are realizing that you do get a lot of traffic off of it. But luckily there's still us, good people here who are trying to create value and create these prompts for good reason, not spammy reason. But look, AI is everywhere. And another way that I've used AI to be everywhere that I think people should pay attention to, and I think can be valuable and not spammy, is all of these accounts you see here, they're AI created, right? So these are people that I've created that are here to help. And we have people behind them, resources behind them, but a lot of it is AI. So Shashant is building products. Devin Swan is the AI guy. Sarah Berner is making web development easier. We have these people everywhere. And the reason being is that you can really build anything and use AI to kind of post for them. So Devin Swan, I know, is here to help with AI. So I can automatically use AI to pull information on what's going on AI, or for web developers, what's going on for web developers, what's new in the news, what are the new platforms out, what is a good blog post that's going to help them today. All these things can be created by AI. So as you're looking through, be careful on Twitter. You never know who's actually real and who's not, but a lot of these AI generated profiles are here to help you, and they can really use AI to do so. So it's been a fun way that we've kind of dove into AI. But what I'd really like to do next is actually dive into how you can use AI to use social media, rather than just creating platforms, rather than just building really cool things and really cool blog posts. We all know it can write a blog post. We all know it can write a social post. We all know it can do those things. What I'm going to do over the next, I think I have like 15 minutes, so I will be as quick as possible. What I'm going to do here is what I wish someone would have done for me at the beginning. And what I've done a lot of research on, so I can save you so much time. I'm going to break down all the different parts of social media in which AI can help you. And I'm not going to bore you with, oh, this is, this is one little tactic. No. I'm going to give you the real tactics. I'm going to tell you what it means for you. I'm going to tell you how I use it. And then I'm going to give you the tools. Because I know people are asking a lot of questions for the tools. I will have them in the slides. I usually don't like to have a lot of words in the slides, but for here, in each slide, you have the information that you need. Because you definitely need to write these down and go try them out. There's just so many that it's almost overwhelming. So I want to make sure I take my time and break down each part for you. So the first parts in AI that can really help you with social media is personalization. right? And you may think, why is that? Because AI is not very personal, and that's true, but it can still give you data and subsets and audiences that can help you personalize. You still need to drive it and make it personal, but AI can definitely, in a quicker way, give you the information you need. Predictive analytics. This is something that, yes, a human can do, but an AI can do pretty well too. AI can guess so many different things through predictive analytics. Chatbots and customer service. I know Kimber spoke about this. I'm going to kind of dive into it more from a social media perspective. Influencer marketing. This is my thing. I love working with influencers. I love seeing how they can predict a product. I really like to call them thought leaders now in tech. I look for those people you learn from, and AI can help you find those people as well. There's a few other areas as well. These aren't as fun and cool as influencer marketing and others, but these are very, very important. Social listening and sentiment analysis is huge. Audience analysis, and then also segmenting. So segmenting your audience is something AI can help with so much. And the last thing that if you're not using, you will be shocked when I show you just how well AI can really help you optimize your ads. It's kind of scary, but it's also very helpful. And again, doesn't eliminate any jobs, but it definitely saves some time for you and makes you better at your job. So let's dive in. First, we have personalization. As I promised, what does personalization mean for you? It's just leveraging the massive data processing power of AI that you can now offer deeply personalized content on social media. So rather than just guessing what people are looking for, rather than just guessing for trends, you can use AI to do so. How do I use AI for this? I use dynamic yield. Dynamic yields will show me all the touch points that people have on our social media. So that's something that's so cool. I can see where they're coming on our Twitter, where they're going on our Instagram, where they're clicking, where they're spending the most time. This allows me to understand what's working really well, so I can create more content tailored towards that, right? So I want to know not only how long are they staying on my social, how long are they spending time on what platform, because this changes everything for me. If I understand that people are spending more time on YouTube Shorts, which I have seen move up, obviously I'm going to change my content for that. And I'm going to find different ways to make content. And maybe I'll use AI to ask for the content. There's some really good players in the space. Devin McPaul has a really good resource. I'll try to find and send out here a really good course on how to write prompts. Because right now, if you just write it directly and say, hey, can you write me a script for a YouTube short? It's not going to be very good. It's really not going to be great yet. But if you really take the time and find these very, very in-depth prompts, you'd be shocked at what it can put out for you. So yes, I use dynamic yield. I want to see what actually drove signups. For example, for Social Bee, they're hitting me up saying, hey, let's make sure we drive, signups. I want to make sure I drive signups too. So I can go back in with dynamic yield and I can see what platform drove the most signups. So I know when I get asked for another topic, I can post more, maybe twice or 3 times on, let's say that LinkedIn, which is what probably did the best for this. If I had to guess, I'll know afterwards because I have the tools to do so. Another one that I use is Optimizely. I know everyone thinks of Optimizely as A/B testing, and yes, it is that, but it also can analyze like user interaction to your platform. So a little different for me, but for your business, we have features. We have a lot of different things going on at ClickUp. We have project management, we have whiteboards, we have calendars, we have so many other things. It's very important for me to understand what is being used, because now if I know what features are being used the most, then I know what to go back and create content for. And then I also later, you'll see how I can figure out what audiences with AI to send this to. So the first thing is really just personalization, using the proper tools, and the tools are dynamic yield. This really just helps you, again, look at conversion rates, revenue, touch points, everything with social media that's driving the proper traffic. There's also OneSpot. Yeah, I think OneSpot's on there. Yep. OneSpot is there to kind of individualize the experience across all your channels. So that way you can kind of dive in deeper with your customers. And then there's Optimizely again, which is known for A/B testing, but do not sleep on Optimizely. It does much more than that. And they're now using AI and more so machine learning to kind of help use personalization decisions and make decisions ahead of time rather than you guessing. So that's personalization with AI. The next one, predictive analytics powered by AI. So this is a whole different game here. Analytics, as we all know, are huge, right? So what does this mean for you? Everyone on this call knows that data is everything. Why do you think so many companies sell data and make a ton off doing it? Data is important. We don't love it when it's shared, but at the same time, any data that we can get properly, we do love to get. So now what this means is we don't need a ton of people scraping through, pulling data and making these analysis. We can actually have AI to take care of that, and then it can pass it on to the proper people to further investigate. So now enables you to be proactive in your marketing efforts and really kind of align your strategies with your future customer needs and preferences. As promised, how do I use it? I use these tools to just analyze data from social media, right? And the data I'm looking for, frequency of post, types of post. And really, at the end of the day, the main thing I'm looking for, what are my top engaging posts? You need to know that, right? And in the past, you could pay someone to go back and check, but there's nothing more cool that I can tell you than opening up my platform each week and then looking at a report and saying, okay, this was my most engaged. This was my least engaged, because that's important too. And why that's important is I'm going to go back and say, okay, these 8 posts did so well. I really want to analyze why. And AI even gives you some ideas. Well, not always accurate, to be honest, but hey, we're still in the very first, 3 or 4 months of AI being fully here. So let's see. But it can give me an idea. I can see and kind of predict consumer behavior and trends. So it's a really cool way to start. So let's say that I see my top engaging post, but then I can also see what my worst posts were. And those are almost more valuable to me, because I don't want to post that. If people aren't engaging, if people aren't loving my work and what we're posting, I want to stop that immediately. And I want to understand why. Did I have a bad hook? Was I not actually helping them? Was I being too salesy? That's a big one. A lot of times I've noticed people are very, very immune to being salesy. So the more you use AI to predict this stuff, you're going to see that people don't want to be sold to anymore. They want to learn, just the way I'm trying to teach you right now. So just teach people as much as you can and cut the sales point, because people know what they want to choose. They're going to decide on their own. But I can get so many good insights here. Another thing I can use is I can use these platforms to kind of see when I need to ramp up, staffing or attention to social media. So I can say, hey, look, last October, your social media was going way up. And an example of this is when we did a Super Bowl commercial. I would love to say that I was fully prepared. It was our first Super Bowl commercial. It was a very big deal. I wasn't. I had no idea how much social traffic was going to come our way. I could have never predicted. But now with some of these tools below, IBM Watson, Salesforce Einstein, and then SAS Advanced Analytics, they could have helped me predict this. Mainly IBM Watson. So I could have said, hey, look, show us, what kind of platform you're pushing on, and we can give you an idea of the traffic and how many reps you need to respond to that. Because I had no idea. I'd never seen an influx like that of virality, but I have now, and I know what to do in the future. But yeah, so this is how I use AI to kind of help predict and analyze my social media analytics. I use IBM Watson. IBM Watson really allows me to kind of mine through my social media data, and I'm looking for patterns and insights, right? So, if certain things around the holidays might come up, there might be certain things that are talked about that I need to dive into, and I'll dive into further that as I get into sentiment and everything else. But what this really allows me to do is predict consumer behavior. So when are people historically more on social media? When are they driving in more? Are the Emmys coming up? Is this a time when people post about this? Can I jump into it? Can I make ClickUp a part of what's going on in the talk in the Emmys or a part of the talk in AI? I did with AI, and it was a huge success for me. So by knowing trends, by knowing customer behavior, by knowing what's going on, I can really get ahead. And that's IBM Watson for me. If you are, if you're a big Salesforce user, Salesforce has Einstein. This is a tool that also has insights, recommendations, and really helps you see these patterns ahead of time. So there's also SAS Advanced Analytics. This one is super sophisticated and out of my budget. But if you're a very large company, if there's some of the main players on here, you might want to use this one because it's more using machine learning. It is a heavier investment, but the predictions they can make are highly advanced. So I don't need this one yet, but if you're balling more than us, then I want you to dive into it. All right. So again, I know Kimber talked about this. I won't go fully into it. I'll go into a different side of this that you might not know about. So chatbots and customer service. We've all heard the term chatbots. We kind of know what it is, right? You come in, start chatting, and they pop right back up and they chat with you instantly. So what does this mean for your business? Look, AI-powered chatbots can provide instant round-the-clock customer service. It's what it means to you. And that is valuable, especially I remember when ClickUp was just 4 employees and we were all trying to stay up for different times to make sure our chat responses were quick. Because as we all know, when you don't get a quick chat response, you're out, you're done, you're bored. So chatbots can really help you with that. And you'd be surprised with how good they are now. They can answer frequently asked questions, something that's asked all the time for you. They can even resolve queries, and they can guide you through purchases. So it really kind of enhances that customer support and engagement. How do I use chatbots? I have a pretty cool setup for this. So I do multiple things. One, there's certain things that are very easy to respond to in ClickUp. And That's okay. I don't need a person to do that. I can use AI. And I think a lot of people are afraid to say that, but yes, I can use AI for these certain responses. If someone is asking, where do I get started on ClickUp? A chatbot can answer clickup.com/ClickUp. If someone is asking where they can find the brand materials for ClickUp, a chatbot is perfectly okay to answer clickup.com/brand. It's a very easy answer. They should answer it. And I should not waste my employees' time. I want them to be more creative. The big thing here that everyone is noticing for chatbots is Facebook Messenger. So again, if you don't get a quick response, you're moving on. So with chatbots, you can guarantee that you're getting a fast response. For Facebook Messenger, and now other platforms is happening too. So that's how I use chatbots. I use them for quick customer service. Again, if someone needs deeper customer service, I want them to get there, and they will get there. The chatbot will push them there. But if it's something super easy that can be answered in a question that's understood by the chatbot, I would love for the chatbot to answer. The tools that I recommend for you, my big one is Mobile Monkey. I recommend to you Mobile Monkey because it allows you to create it across multiple platforms. It's not just Facebook Messenger like so many of them. So that's what's really cool. It allows you to automate responses. You can gather information. It'll even engage with your followers. So definitely dive into Mobile Monkey. Super, super cool platform. The massive one that everyone knows of is Chatfuel. I would love for you to use Chatfuel as well. It more specializes in Facebook Messenger, and it lets businesses kind of design and launch chatbots, but these will take you all the way through the sales process. It doesn't require any coding skills and very low AI capability. So it's definitely a solid one. And I would say it's used more for like efficient customer interaction. So Chatfuel, if you're more on that simple jumping in. And then there's ManyChat. ManyChat is more for if you're trying to answer all kind of inquiries and then automate your sales. And ManyChat's also good for data. So I forgot to put it on the slide, but ManyChat is a good one that I wanted to add in for you. So that's chatbots. Let's keep it moving. My favorite topic, influencer marketing, or as I like to call it, thought leaders. Look, at the end of the day, it's very, very important in tech. We're a little later to it. Everyone thinks of influencer marketing as just like, hey, try this Perrier, the pink grapefruit especially. I love it. No, we've moved on from that. People are immune to that. What they do love, though, is to learn on social media, like you are learning from me. So what you need to do in influencer marketing is find those that people are learning, that your audience is learning from. For me, it's a wide range. It's project management. So I want project managers, but I also want marketers. I want developers. I want C-suite members. I want leaders. I want customer service employees, salespeople. I want everyone, right? So for me, I need to break these niches down. And I'll show you how I use AI to do that. But there's also a really cool way of using AI to find influencers to do that. So what does influencer marketing and AI mean for you? It just means that you can have AI identify potential influencers by analyzing their engagement, their reach, the authenticity of their followers, which is important. We know a lot of people like to buy these fake followers and overcharge. But look, what you can do is you can use AI to really analyze who the influencers are for you. What you can also do is you can use AI to track these influencers. That's something we've all had to pay for. We tried so many different programs. AI does it really well. It can track the posts. And again, just as I showed you earlier, it can personalize and show you, okay, this influencer does really well here. This one performs well on this platform. So it allows me to just make so much better decisions with data. So for example, for me, I want to know who's trending in project management or remote work. I can use tools to do that. I can also see who's an up and comer, like who's someone with a low following that's had a few trending posts in my space, whatever space I want to do. The tools that I use, HYPR, this is just simply a platform that helps you find the right influencer. So if you're like, hey, I don't even know where to start, and some agency is trying to charge you $30K to do influencer marketing, don't do that. Use HYPR, it'll give you a great list. Upfluence is a good way to not only track them. Upfluence helps you find them, track them. It's like the full suite. So it's a little more expensive, but Upfluence is if you're really looking for full help. I highly recommend them. And then another tool that I should mention, in case you want to track your influencers, if you already have a program like me, I would recommend you use Tracker, TRAACKR. TRAACKR Tracker. This helps you track all the analytics of your influencers and how they're performing. So again, you can use this to really track your metrics, your engagement, your reach. It's huge. It's definitely changing the game here. Next, I know I'm trying to keep up on time. Where is social listening and sentiment? So this is very, very important here. What does it mean to you? Look, we all listen to our brand, right? I really hope you do. If you don't, so if you have a company, you can monitor your brand. That is what sentiment is. How how are people speaking about you? Are they speaking positively? Are they mad? Are they upset? Basically, what AI will do for you is it'll monitor and analyze brand mentions on social media. So to interpret the sentiment behind these interactions as well. Like, is it positive? Is it negative? And not only is it taking through, just social, but it'll go into review sites. It'll go into like Reddit, all these good things. How do I use it? For me, it's just a faster way for me to monitor discussions about ClickUp. So I can see if people are talking about ClickUp on Twitter and all these different platforms. I can see how well they're speaking about us. But not only that, I can also see how people are talking in the project management space. Hey, this is an upcoming trend in project management. This is a feature that companies should be looking out for. So that way I see what we should be doing to be better for our customers, for those who want to work with us, and also my space. I need to stay up to date in my space. And there's no better way than not having to, have someone fully watch this all the time. AI can pull that data. And then I can have my employee just read through that and sift through that and tell me what's important. Because again, AI is never going to tell me everything that's perfect, but it is going to tell me a lot. And a human can break it down and they can save time by using these tools. So again, just a faster way for me to analyze everything that's being said on social media, community forums, review sites. Rather than reading everything, we can just have someone kind of help us understand this feedback. And they do make recommendations. You've definitely heard of Brandwatch. Brandwatch is the one. We actually use Sprout Social. So Sprout Social does a lot of things. That's why I use Sprout Social, but Brandwatch is kind of the more direct platform if you're just looking for this. But be sure to find tools that can help you consolidate, like ClickUp, because they definitely will do so. Sprout Social is an amazing one though, because it really does have social listening and then the sentiment analysis. Talkwalker is really cool. It's a new one that does it in 187 languages. So I haven't used them yet, but they've come on my radar here recently, just because it's pretty cool that it can do so many. They can even pull from websites, blogs, and forums. So I will be diving into Talkwalker more, and I think you should look at it as well as a good option. All right, AI for audience analysis and segment. So what does this mean for you? It basically means AI analyzes social media user behavior, preferences, and it segments audiences. So this allows you to make more targeted decisions moving forward. So your business can have more relevant and engaging content and really kind of improve your satisfaction and ROI by the content you're creating. Because if you know who you're creating content for, it's going to help so much more. So how do I use this? I use this to basically just analyze the behavior and the preferences of my social media followers. In simple terms, I help it categorize my followers. So I know where to best post each things, right? Maybe written posts work better for copywriters, probably does. Videos for marketers, and maybe there's memes for developers. I'm not just joking with you. This is what I've actually learned. Developers love memes, marketers love videos, and copywriters surprisingly love copy. So I use different tools that can help me understand what content is better for each. So I know if I'm trying to pitch ClickUp AI, which is releasing on the 20th, if I am trying to reach ClickUp AI to copywriters, I know how to market to them. I know what to create. I want to write good copy. If I want marketers to shop for ClickUp AI, I know I'm going to make a video because it performs better. That is what these tools allow me to do. So the big tool here is audience. And let me make sure I spell that correctly for it's in there as well. It says analyze audience, but it's spelled how it's spelled in there. AUDIENSE, audience. It uses AI to identify and understand and target specific audience segments. So as you start creating content, you're like, hey, I wanted this one to go towards marketers. It can let you know how the marketers responded, and et cetera. Again, you can use Sprout Social for this. And you can also use NetBase. NetBase is a good one as well. That's more for large volume. Let me keep it moving here. I'm finishing right up because I know I'm just in on time. Ad optimization. I don't know how many people know about this yet. I hope some people are just learning about it because I want to be the one to surprise you and show you how good it is, but I also think everyone should be on it. AI is really good for ad optimization. Again, it's not taking anyone's jobs. You still need every single point of it, but it definitely helps. So what it means for you is AI enhances social media advertising efforts by predicting ad performance. It'll suggest improvements. It'll even automate bid processes, which is so cool because we know how annoying that can be. Sometimes you're running a very similar ads, a very similar audience. You don't need to keep redoing it. So if used properly, you will see more effective ads, better use of your budget, and improved ROI. I simply just use this to make my ads. And really, I'm talking about, I don't run all of our ads, right? I do boosting. So what I do this for is like social boosting. I just use it to make it better. How? It'll analyze past performances. So for like Facebook, LinkedIn, it'll say, hey, this one did really well. So maybe do another video like this one. This one did not do so well. Do not take this again. So just as we've learned in other parts of today, a lot of what AI does is just say, hey, this did really well in the past, this did not. It's already got that data for you. It's already pulled for you. It can also suggest more content based on engagement metrics. So it can say, hey, last time this video did really well, so let's try to optimize this the same. It'll also optimize your posting time. So maybe I'm about to post at 3 p.m. and this can say, hey, look, historically, Chris, I respect your decision, but historically, 3 p.m. is not a good time to post. People are still hard at work. Maybe you should wait till 4 p.m. Eastern time and 7 p.m. Eastern time and 4 p.m. Pacific time. So it's a better time when people are just getting off work and they're going to see this. Or maybe I want to post when they're at work. But it's really cool. We can also suggest improvements for your ad copy. It can even automate the process, which is pretty cool. So you're bidding. It can say, hey, you should bid it around here. This is the average cost. This is where you should bid if you want to win. The tools for this, Adspresso. Adspresso is just one, they chose a killer name. Hats off to them for that. What a great name. But it also works really well. It does creation, management, and optimization. Refuel 4, this is more for just optimization. And then Pattern 89, I haven't used, but I've been reading a lot about. And that's more to suggest improvements on everything and kind of help guide your ad spend. All right. So thank you so much for listening to me dive in. I really, really hope this helped. If you can't tell, I'm passionate about AI. I'm a huge fan of everything it's doing. I also love helping people with AI. I've grown my Twitter over like 30 or 40,000 followers, just posting a lot about it. So I'm here to answer any questions. And again, I really hope that was helpful.
Awesome. Congratulations. That was an awesome presentation. I learned a lot.
Thank you so much. I'll stop the share so you can take it over.
Awesome. So in the meantime, let's dive into a few questions. First question that I have here is, where are you getting the photos of the people that the AI has created? And are those actually AI generated people?
Oh, yes, I should say that. I'm not doing anything illegal. The site is like, thisisnotaperson.com, I believe it is, or something like that. I'll find it afterwards. It actually helps you create AI generated images. So I'm not stealing anyone's image, I promise. And these are just for fun purposes to help grow and teach people in a space, that's not a real person, but is a real team driving it of experts.
That's amazing. Honestly, I found it awesome.
Yeah.
Okay, next question. What was the name of the person for the writing good prompts? Devin Paul?
Devin McPaul. Devin McPaul is an absolute genius. I recommend him more than anyone. And his tools, easyscaling.ai. He works with Chase Denman, who's also a marketing expert. They are absolutely incredible. They've helped build so many parts of AI. I highly recommend checking out. I've learned so much from Devin McPaul.
Awesome. Maybe we can get them at some point in a webinar.
You should. I can connect you to him. He's a good friend.
Right? That would be awesome. Great. Next question. Aren't these predictive tools mainly for enterprises?
They are. They're mainly for enterprise tools, but I mean, hey, as you're still scaling and growing, I believe that, ClickUp at once was only 4 employees just a short 5 years ago. So never doubt that, you can try to get into the enterprise level like we're trying to do now. I think you should always treat yourself as such and still try to keep up with trends and things like that. Yes, they are a little expensive, but there are some that are coming in with AI that are more affordable. And that's why I try to put that in there. But I do challenge you to also see your company as a future enterprise, because you are.
Mm-hmm. Cool. And then we have 2 more questions here. One, I'm a little confused about these tools. Are they offering AI integrations, or are we supposed to import their data into an AI tool? For example, does Adspresso have an AI tool, or am I importing my Adspresso data into an AI data analysis tool like IBM Watson?
That's a great question. So for each one, it's different. Sometimes some do integrate, some do not. Some you have to copy and paste still. That's kind of the big annoying part, but some do. IBM Watson I still have to pull a lot. Adspresso still as well. I don't think they can fully pull into Ad Manager. Again, I'm just using it for boosting. So we'll try to get the full question for you. But that's the reason why it's good to look into other tools, like ClickUp AI. ClickUp AI is everything built in, so you do not have to go back to ChatGPT and copy and paste. And shameless plug, I do have to drop that with ClickUp AI dropping on the 20th.
Awesome. Next question. I'm confused why you misspelled audience with an S on purpose.
I did that because
That's
the tool.
the name of the tool, right?
It's the tool. So I'm not that slow actually, and I do actually have Grammarly. I think my brain was just thank for the tool, but thank you for noticing. And yes, I'm glad it was still in there properly so you can see the tool because that's how it's.
And then one final question. Oh no, actually, this is just a reiteration. What was the name of the person who specializes in prompts? Devin McPaul, right?
Devin McPaul, correct. Yeah.
Cool. Well, thank you so much. These were all the questions, Chris. This was amazing. I've learned so much, and I'm looking forward to learning more.
Thank you so much. I am too. I can't wait to stay on and see the rest of the speakers. I'm excited for Chris Vasquez. Let's crush it.
Yes. Okay, I'm going to switch you back to attendee, and then I'm going to introduce Chris.
Thank you, everyone.
Okay, so our next guest today is Chris Vasquez from Aweber. If you don't know Chris, let me introduce you to him. He's the Chief Product Officer at Aweber, where he gets to work with a team and create tools that help entrepreneurs like you and me to build businesses doing what they love. And if you're not aware of what Aweber is, their mission is to deliver powerfully simple email marketing software for small businesses. And it basically does up to 90% of the job for you. And you can just use the last 10% to have a little fun and sprinkle your own personality over those emails. So I'm going to have Chris talk about his topic. Give me a second to actually invite him on stage. Let's see. Hi, Chris.
Hey, how's it going?
It's
There we
great.
go. Here I am.
There we go. Welcome on stage.
Thanks. I'm so stoked. I can't believe I have to follow that great session from Chris. I'm going to hopefully be the second best Chris talking today. That was such a the whole thing has been great so far. I just have so many notes.
Really, I think it's just going to be Chris, and that's it. You know, and obviously Kimber as well. But between the two of you, there's just going to be one Chris, the awesome Chris.
Yeah, if you hear anything you liked, just remember it was me who said it, and something that you could throw away. It was the other Chris, right? No, just kidding. That was awesome. I'd love to catch up afterwards.
Perfect. Okay, well, I'm going to shut everything down on my end and you can get started. Just remember,
Cool.
everyone, if you have any questions for this Chris, you can add them in the Q&A section.
All right. Well, I think my screen is showing right now, so I'm going to jump right into things.
Yes, it's showing.
Oh, thank you. The big problem that I'm here to talk about how Aweber can help you with is that it is harder than ever to get to know your audience. Aweber, our big thing, the thing that we're passionate about is email marketing. And even just in the email space, it's gotten so much harder to understand who your audience is. But let's start with, like, why does that matter anyway? It's just really important to know who your potential customers are, who your most successful users are or customers are if you sell a product, and what do they have in common? Where do they congregate so you can find more of them? How do they speak? You know, what terminology do they use? What tones do they respond to? Like Chris said, what mediums do they respond to? All of this stuff is so important. And at Aweber, like I'm sure at many of your own businesses, knowing the different personas who use your product, why they use it, how they found you, is the thing that lets you grow your business and keep serving people with the things that you make. So just to talk a little bit about why it's gotten harder, platforms like Apple and regulations like GDPR and similar regulations are making it harder for us to access third-party data. Now, I actually think that's a good thing. I think that privacy is a good thing. I think that end users having control over privacy is good. But what it means is we have to work so much harder to gather first-party data. That's data that we get directly through our own applications or by asking our audience questions. And then we need to do something with it, be able to understand it. And we can't rely on access to every single detail of people's lives from third-party ad networks and data warehouses. When it comes to first-party data, let's say that you have this great program for connecting or collecting first-party data. You have a separate problem. It's really hard sometimes to figure out what your data means and how it connects. If you've got surveys in one place and analytics on how people are using your product in another, and reviews on review sites, it can be very difficult to get everything to one place, let alone to figure out what it means. So today we're going to talk about and hopefully give some solutions for two problems. One is, like I just mentioned, understanding how all of the data that you have about your audience fits together. And then the second one, and this is kind of where the magic is filling in gaps in your knowledge of your audience that you don't have access to right now. Before we jump into specifically how to do those things, let's talk about AI, why I think it's helpful, how we've seen it be helpful for AWeber, and a little bit of background there. We're really interested in the power of AI to augment humans, to supplement our ability to be humans and be creative. My big caveat here is I don't think AI should or even can do everything humans can. I think that it's a really valuable power up for us, but there are some things that people, I think, will always be better at. Some of the earlier speakers mentioned things like experiencing the world. Like right now, AI isn't really coming up with novel thoughts. It's trained on data that's been put into it, and so it can only really iterate from that data. It can create content from the data that's been put into it. And all of us, we can experiment all the time. We can run experiments and change our view of the world. We can have conversations and like happenstance interactions with the people around us, and it can change us as people and cause us to think about the world differently. So I think that whenever we're talking about using AI tools, we have to make sure that we're using them for what they're good for, and we're not trying to replace the things that humans are good at. So what is AI good at? This is all preamble for this point. So it's able to form connections between data faster and more accurately than humans are. AI has the ability to see patterns that are difficult for us to see, especially in massive amounts of data. And like I mentioned, we can do other things well. One thing that I thought was so funny that I keep trying to break AI, like figure out what it's not good at. And I found one really weird thing the other day. Do you know what a rebus puzzle is? It's like a word puzzle where you might see something on a page that shows the word water and then a line, and then below that the word city. And the answer to that puzzle is like underwater city. If you ask the AI tools that are readily available, like OpenAI's ChatGPT-4 or Bard, to give you some rebus puzzle ideas, it just doesn't know what to do. It gives you weird things that make no sense and would not make sense as puzzles. But the second thing that makes AI particularly helpful here is that it has knowledge, from its training data of all sorts of stories, communities, and data that individuals and even companies generally don't have access to. And it's able to reference all of that knowledge when you're asking it to create content or give you answers. So these two things, pattern identification and just the breadth of information it has to work with when it's suggesting content, make it a really helpful tool. We're talking about two distinct ways of, or two distinct problems here. The first one is connecting dots between the existing data that you have on your audience. And that's one of the big things that AI does well. It can find these connections that we might have trouble finding. Things like that your happiest customers might come from a specific location or a certain community, or they might have certain buying preferences. And then you can use that information to market to more people, to try and develop a subset of your audience into these more successful people. So what these tools do that is really interesting is they're able to take unstructured content like free response answers to questions. Like if you're familiar with an NPS survey where you ask people to rate how they feel about your company, and then you ask them to describe or you ask them to rate whether they'd recommend your company, and then you ask them to describe why or how you could make your product better or something. The process of going through all of those free response questions and categorizing them is both tedious and it's error prone. Like if you have two different people working through a big backlog of free response feedback from people, it's really easy to fall out of step with how you're categorizing the feedback. You know, is it about feature A or feature B? Is this person frustrated with the product itself or with service that they got? Sorry, I just looked over at Chris. I meant to mention this at the beginning. All of the images in this are generated using an AI generation tool called Lexica. It's pretty cool. You can just jump right over and play with it. Sorry, that was my one little distraction. So it's able to turn that unstructured data into something that is more structured, that it can systematically parse through, categorize, and just kind of flatten for you. And what's really powerful here is when you take that free response data, that unstructured data, and pair it with your structured data that you have, the structured information you have about your users, like how long they've been a customer, what acquisition source they came from, you know, were they paid traffic that turned into a customer or a user? Did they come through social media? And then look at patterns in their preferences. So at AWeber, we do a lot of surveying of our customers in a variety of different ways, because we really want to know if we're satisfying their needs or not. And so we can make their experience better. And what you're able to do with some of these AI tools is easily categorize all of that feedback that comes back to you without having to manually work through all of it, and then look at commonalities that people have who might love a certain feature. So we have email automation features. We can look at what other similarities those people have. So do they come from specific industries? They tend to. Do they tend to have different goals? We ask people's goals when they sign up for AWeber, and they tell us. And they tend to have goals that align more with people who are further along in their journey with their business. And you can form all of these connections without having to do the manual cross-tabbing of data, which is oftentimes so daunting that people don't even try from the beginning. So I listed 3 tools here that are worth experimenting with. And someone had asked during the previous Chris's talk, like, aren't these all for enterprise companies? And this kind of covers the gamut of enterprisey, from enterprise to self-service. But Dovetail and Deep Talk are these 2 platforms that are there for both consolidating all of your feedback from review sites, surveys, and all sorts of stuff like that. And then they do things like sentiment analysis and theme analysis, where they categorize the free response content coming in. And SurveyMonkey has a variety of AI tools, some on the analytics side to help you figure out, you know, what commonalities people who answer one question have with folks who answer another question. And they also have, this is unrelated to this problem we're talking about solving, they have some really helpful AI tools for actually creating surveys where you can tell it the type of information that you want to get, and it'll recommend the questions and question types you should use, which is very, very cool. So the pros of this approach, because all of these experiments with AI, like we're still very early on with a lot of these AI tools that are out there. Many of the ones that you're going to see have only popped up in the last year, although some have been around for quite some time, and I expect more to be popping up all the time. But we have to be aware of the things they do well and the potential drawbacks. The pros with connecting the dots, where you're using AI to help you analyze feedback and data that you already have about your audience, is you can be reasonably confident in the insights because you're you can be confident that the source data that it's working through is accurate, at least on your side. You know, the free response feedback actually came from your users or your customers, and it represents to the best of their ability what they thought. The behavioral data came right from your database or from your analytics tool, and it represents to the best of your ability to know the real world. And you may find connections you would never have noticed yourself, because if you're just a one-person team, it's going to be really hard to parse through all this data. And even if you're in a large organization, AI is just really good at identifying patterns. The cons here, and there's actually a second one that I'm going to talk about that I didn't include here, but the big one is this requires you to have significant information on your audience already. And if you're just starting a business, or if you're a solopreneur, or if you're trying to turn a creative product or a creative project into a business, you're probably not going to have a ton of information on your audience already. So that's going to make it difficult to be successful. It's going to make it impossible to be successful using tools for connecting the dots. But don't worry, I've got you on the next one. The other con here is just like with any AI content generation or categorization, you do want to be spot checking. Just take a sample of some of the categorization it's done or the sentiment analysis it's done, and make sure that it is accurately categorizing and analyzing your free response text. Now, many tools give you the ability to further train. So if they got it wrong the first time, you can tell them, no, this isn't right. This person is actually just using slang, and this means they love the product. They didn't hate it. It's bad meaning good, not bad meaning bad. But you do want to take some time just to verify that the results are accurate. Now, this next one, this is the really magical part. This is where I can't help but think like the promise, or I can't help but see the promise of AI in actually revolutionizing the way that we do some of our creative work. And that creative work is thinking about our audience. But the reason why I get so stoked about it is because AI is really good at describing different types of content. So you can feed it something, and because it knows all of this stuff about other content, similar content, different types of content, it's really good at breaking down a piece of content and describing things, describing what it's talking about, its tone, what the goal of the content is, even if it's engaging. And you can use this to your advantage by asking AI to help you classify the types of content that your audience loves and understanding why they like it. And then you can use that to create more content like that. I have a big caveat on this. You see, it's my next big bullet point. This is for experimentation primarily, and you should find ways to validate the results that you're going to get from what I'm going to suggest next, because you're not going to know for sure that what you get back from this is true. It's just going to help you explore the way you think about your content and your audience in a way that you might not have been able to in the past, or at a scale that you might not have been able to in the past. I'll talk about validation in a bit, but just go into this knowing this. When it comes to this inferring and exploring tag, there are two things that you can do here. The first is to analyze copy. So I would actually encourage all of you to do this. And I have a step-by-step at the end for what you should do. And you can do it with ChatGPT or Bard or any other free product. But take content that your audience loves. Like, do you have a blog post that people just went crazy for? Or do you have a YouTube video that people were over the moon about? They liked it a lot, they commented it a lot, they shared about it. Find that best content that you've ever written and ask AI to describe and categorize it. I included a prompt that I use. This is in Aweber's AI tool, which you can open up in our message editor. And we have a bunch of prompt starters for you, or you can freeform engage with AI. But what I'm doing here is I'm asking the AI to break down my content, my best performing content, into its tone of voice, its style, the personality, so I can use that. Then I'm going to take that and I'm going to create more content using that. So I ran this prompt, and let me read you the response that I got. The article's tone is conversational and informal, similar to a friendly chat rather than a formal piece of professional writing. The author uses language as if addressing a close acquaintance. Hi, friend, talk to me, creating a sense of rapport and camaraderie with the reader. It's the type of tone that can engage readers because it feels personal, approachable, and relatable. So to generate similar context using generative AI, you would want to aim for a conversational, engaging, friendly, yet informative tone. The content should be relatable with a good mix of personal stories, humor, and practical advice. It should also encourage reader interactions and break down complex topics into easy to understand language. So when you're creating prompts of your own to create more engaging content, like the stuff your audience loves, that's just a snippet you can paste into your prompt to say, make this content conversational, engaging, friendly, yet informative, etc. And as you do more of this, you'll be able to build that prompt out so it better reflects your specific tone and voice of your most effective content. And tools that you can use for this, you can use Aweber's Writing Assistant, which is free. It's available in our free plans. It's behind a closed beta right now, but we are going to be launching it to everyone next week. You could also use ChatGPT, you could use Bard, or if you want something a little more sophisticated with all sorts of really cool bells and whistles, I would encourage that you try out Jasper. Jasper is a really wonderful AI writing tool that just, when I first started playing with generative AI last year or so, or maybe a little earlier, it really opened my ideas or my mind to the potential because of how many thought starters it gives you. The next thing is a twist on what we just talked about, where you're going to ask AI to describe the type of people who would benefit from a given creator or community, from the thing that you offer. And a big watch out here is this is going to work best when you're using tools that have access to real-time or close to real-time data like Google's Bard or ChatGPT with the browsing plugin enabled. The browsing plugin, I believe, is still invite only, but that is something that allows ChatGPT to have access to the internet to when it's giving you answers. And that's important because if you're asking about what people might like right now, or what people who follow a certain type of creator or community might like, it's important that you have fresh information to pull from, and that the AI is using fresh information. So let's look at this prompt. I'm at Aweber. We do email marketing. A lot of our audience sends newsletters. So my audience is made up of people who write newsletters. They write about a wide variety of topics. It's important that you give a lot of specificity, or as much as you can, to the AI, so it doesn't get confused, so it doesn't do this thing that sometimes AI does called hallucinating, where it really wants to give you the best possible answer. And that's like its main goal. So it'll do everything it can get there. And if it doesn't know the answer to something, sometimes it'll make things up. And that's why it's so important to check your AI answers. That's also why it's important to be as specific as possible. So if you know things about your audience and you're trying to learn more about them, make sure to include those details in your prompt. So I talk about what they do. I share some of their similarities, that their goals are to grow an audience and they want to earn money, and their challenges. They're figuring out where to find new subscribers and consistently writing interesting content. Like that's why we built our writing assistant, to help people write more consistently. And then I ask for something specific. Tell me other ways these people might be similar that I can use to find more people like them to attract them to my product. And let me just read, I'm almost done, the response to this prompt. Here are some of the ways that newsletter writers might be similar that you could use to find more people and attract them to your product. They're all online. That's an easy one. They're all looking for ways to grow their audience. And they're willing to pay for quality content. Newsletter writers are willing to pay for quality content that can help them improve their newsletters. This means that they're likely to be interested in your product or service if you can provide them with high quality content that they can use in their newsletters. And then it gives me some specific strategies. Search for keywords related to your product on social media. Join online communities for newsletter writers. That's a great one. You know, if I want to connect with more of these people, I should be in it with them. offer free trials or discounts to newsletter writers, partner with other companies that provide products or services that are of interest to newsletter writers. And by understanding these similarities, you can develop targeted strategies to reach out to them. So this is neat. One thing I always advise people to do when you're working with AI is don't stop at the first response. Like when you ask it a question, when you're trying to fill in some information about your audience, don't take the first response. Ask follow-up questions. Like these responses are great, but they're kind of basic. So I would want to know more about like, well, what should I do once I'm in an online community for newsletter writers? And these add-on prompts just make your responses, because you're giving more context to the AI, they make them more valuable and interesting. All right, so last thing, I want to encourage you all to do something right now, because I think it's good to always be making some small progress in an area that you want to learn about. And here's what I think you can do. Find your most popular blog posts, social media posts, videos, whatever. And I'd say I have those as plural, but find one, just so you get familiar with this. Then copy and paste that into ChatGPT or Aweber's writing tool. I'd love to have you use that with the prompt. Describe the tone, style, and voice of this content, and then paste in your the content of the thing that you want to understand. And then if you do this with multiples, like that's the bare minimum. You should just do that to see what the result is and what it tells you. But if you do it with multiple blog posts or videos, gather up all the responses, then paste all of those responses as a bulleted list, starting with an asterisk so the AI understands that these are distinct items, and use this prompt. Describe the similarities in each of these items. And then once you have that list of similarities, that's a great starting point for understanding what really works well about your best content. I really hope you do this. And if you do, please reach out to me. I'm at ClickPop, ClickPop on Twitter. And I would love to help you in any way I can. I'm kind of obsessed with this stuff right now, like Chris is. So please lean on me.
I just find it amazing that your username is ClickPop, and then there's the other Chris from ClickUp.
ClickUp, yeah, I know. Geez, Kismet, you know.
And also my name is Pop, so it matches.
Excellent. Absolute last thing, I almost forgot about this. We do have a special offer for Aweber, a 30-day free trial of our Plus plan, which includes all sorts of really great automation and segmenting bells and whistles using the code SB30. And you can sign up at aweber.com/pro.htm.
Awesome. So I guess it's on to the questions. We do have a few, so I'm going to go through them really quickly. The first question that we have here is, what tools do you recommend to help identify your target market, your target audience, and or persona or avatar?
So let me think about that. I would encourage you to start, especially if you're a small business. I would encourage you to start using the readily available tools like Bard or ChatGPT, because they're just really easy to use. They're going to teach you how to talk to AI, which I think is really important for us to learn. Just like Googling is a skill, I think talking to AI is a skill as well. So I'd encourage you to do that. They're also both free. When it comes to other products that I think are just really smart and designed specifically for the purpose of identifying an audience and optimizing for an audience, AnyWord is a tool that is just very, very helpful. And it's mostly focused on content optimization. But as part of that, excuse me, you can learn a lot about the types of audience that you should be speaking to, and how to optimize things like your paid ads and your social ads.
Awesome. Thank you. That was insightful. So the next question is, do you prefer writing one long prompt with all the details, or write multiple prompts to adjust the results, or it doesn't matter?
This is a great one. I used to be a big fan of these things called mega prompts, which were just like these huge prompts where you told AI, I want you to act like a copywriter who has 10 years experience, and et cetera, et cetera. And I still think there's value in that, value in providing a lot of context in the first prompt. But I think like I've just become more of a realist as I've gone, and understanding that I'm almost never going to get what I want back from my first prompt. So I'm going to put as much detail as I can into the first prompt, but I'm not going to try and turn it into this cure-all. I'm going to hit enter. When I see what comes back, I'm going to evaluate that, realize how it needs to improve, and then I'll add additional detail. So it's kind of a mix of the both.
You're building.
Exactly. Yeah. Like that is the best way to interact with AI, in my opinion. That's why ChatGPT is such a successful interface. And we also built that into Aweber where you can ask follow-up questions, because when we were testing with our early users, we found that they also almost never got exactly what they wanted back on the first try.
Yeah, because it takes a little learning to prompt correctly.
Yeah. And I mean, think about it too. Like when you're talking to another human,
Yeah.
I often ask follow-up questions because either I wasn't clear or they didn't fully understand me, you know?
Or we just don't have the right context for it.
Exactly. Yeah.
True. Awesome. So on to the next question. I use Aweber for my newsletter. Right now, I use ChatGPT to help me generate content for the articles, then edit and paste into Aweber to broadcast. How would I use Aweber's writing assistant to speed up or assist this process? And can I do it? Can it do some of the best content summary generation like you gave an example of?
Yeah. So like I mentioned, we're going to be releasing this to all users next week. And all you're going to have to do when you're creating a message is when you're in a text element, just hit the slash key, this slash key, and it'll open up a menu that'll let you use AI right in Aweber. And you can ask it to do anything. So you saw my screenshot. I had a screenshot inside Aweber. I actually used that to generate the answer that I walked through in the presentation. So it's cool. And if you want access to it right now, just reach out to me on Twitter if you have it. I'm ClickPop again. Or if not, reach out to Aweber through live chat and they'll connect you to me. Perfect. I can't wait to talk.
Okay, so we have 3 more questions left. What are some of the best sources that you use to learn and get good at ChatGPT prompts and for training for ChatGPT?
So I think I actually happened across Chris's massive list of prompts at the end of last year, I guess it was, or the beginning of this year. And that was one resource I used and really loved. You should check it out. Twitter is a big one. It's kind of overwhelming how many people are talking about ChatGPT and the interesting ways that they're using it. But honestly, like this is going to sound kind of like a cop-out. The best way to learn it is to use it. Like this is going to make me sound like such a sad person, but sometimes at night when everybody else has gone to sleep, I'll just type into ChatGPT or into Aweber's AI thing just to see what I get back. Like that's how I came up with, or I bumped into the fact that it's not good at rebus puzzles, is because I was just asking it about things that I was curious about. It's kind of neat. Like no one is, there are definitely experts on it, but nobody knows everything about AI. And there's such an opportunity to be somebody who figures something out that nobody else knows just because you're playing with it. So I'd encourage you to do that.
Awesome. And then I have one final question here. Why is Aweber over the other leading CRM tools?
So obviously I'm biased here, but there are a couple things. Like on the one hand, I'm going to talk about features first. We're like obsessed with making writing messages easy. So our editor, we put a lot of time and effort into, so you don't have to worry about fiddling with it. This is why we're building AI into it as well. We want to make it frictionless for people to create content. And if there ever is a world in which you can just type in a sentence and get an email back ready to send, that's the world we want to get to, so you can focus on doing the thing that you want to do. Like I mentioned, I think that humans are always going to be a big part of creating content. I think that's one of the reasons that makes content great and interesting. So that's the one thing. Editors are important to us. Automation is also important to us. And one of the big opportunities we saw there is automation at many tools is really complex. We wanted to make it simple enough that anyone could automate their email communication with their audience. So that's the automation tooling we've built, something that anyone can use to save themselves time. And then the last one, this is not a feature thing, but our support is the best in the industry. Like, our support team is wonderful. They work with our development teams every day. So if you have a problem, they're talking directly to the people who can fix it. Same thing on our deliverability side. If you have a problem with delivery, we have people on our team who are talking to folks at the email inbox providers who are directly hands-on with the email sending technology and can work to get it fixed.
I can see that
awesome.
Lisa is agreeing with you on the great support in the chat. So
Thank you so much, Lisa.
Awesome. So thank you so much. This was very insightful. Once again, I am in awe of the great speeches and speakers that we have had today here. Thank you so much, Chris, for being with us and sharing that awesome knowledge.
Oh, thank you so much for having me. I hope it was interesting.
I really enjoyed it. And I think everyone that in the chat did too. I think so. Waiting for the replies in the
Oh no, the silence is deafening.
In the meantime, I'm going to move you back to attendee so that I can move this webinar along. Please feel free to stay along if you want to. There's only one presentation left, and that is mine. I have a tough one to follow, so. Awesome. Okay, so today's session was full of great insights, and we have a little bit more. I hope I can bring in as much value as everyone else did. So first of all, if you don't know me yet, hi, I'm Anka. I'm a social media strategist here for Socialbee at Socialbee. It's late. I'm sorry. I'm in Europe. It's 9 p.m. here, so it's late. I've been working in social media for the past decade or so, and out of that 10 years, 6 have been here at Socialbee, and I've been helping people make the most out of their social media strategy and their marketing journey to do better with less effort. And if you're not familiar with Socialbee yet and what we do, we're a social media management tool. We help you with scheduling, creating, and sharing your content to different platforms, all from one place, our tool. You'll see some features that are highlighted in Socialbee here on the screen. So you have several options to organize your content in categories, to use the AI assistant and the Canva integration for visuals, and customize your content for different profiles and schedule across multiple platforms at once, and huge other features. I won't go into a lot of detail in that now, but today we're going to talk about how you can use the AI in your insights and look at your analytics, look at your strategy, and how you can put it all together. And I want to start really quickly with this quote by Michael Porter. The essence of strategy is choosing what not to do. And I wanted to say here that I think the main dilemma that we have in today's world is, do I do more with my social media, or do I do better with my social media? And you have to put them in balance and see what works for you. The challenge really is navigating through the numerous platforms, different channels, different strategies that you can use. There's super many sources on the internet that can help you with figuring out strategies, channels, everything. And this abundance can lead to an overwhelm, like I am right now. So it can lead you to maybe scattering your efforts across different platforms and having diluted impact. Now, to solve that, we're going to go through 3 points in today's presentation. 1, we're going to gain some insights for your content strategy by using the AI, or actually learn how to gain those insights. We're going to try and use the AI to strategically build a posting calendar, and then we're going to track the performance and see how we can improve further. So let's start with the first part. Feeding the AI some data from your social media content can help identify the most engaging posts, can help identify popular topics, successful formats of posts, anything that can help push your strategy forward. And you can do this by using tools like predictive analytics that have been already discussed in previous sessions today. So what this does is that it enables you to determine your strengths and to plan for potential outcomes to improve your decision-making process altogether. Once you do that, you're going to move on to analyzing the structure, the tone, and the style of your high-performing content, of your trending content, and you're going to make a list of the best practices that you can incorporate into your content creation process. So you can look at your best performing posts and break them down, see exactly why they worked. You can find any common elements that you might have. You can apply your own strategy altogether, and you can use all of these to make sure that you have a clear structure and a clear style to your posts. You can do this with AI very easily by using a prompt, like I have one in my notes here that I'll read right now. Analyze the social media post below for structure, style, voice, and tone. Create a prompt to write a new post in the same style, voice, and tone. So basically, you can use AI to direct AI to create content in your own style. Next up, we're going to go with audience segmentation, and I won't go into too much detail here because everyone else has already covered this topic today. But basically, understanding your audience segments can help you tailor your posting schedule to deliver content that appeals to any of your specific groups at the best times possible. So you need to make sure that you have a complete understanding of who your audience is, whether we're talking Paul, Chris, Anna, whoever it is that you name them. You need to have your segments really clear in your mind. And then finally, in this process, you can use AI to stay updated on the latest trends. You can make sure that any topics or trends that are relevant in your industry are going to be popping in your content as well. Basically, this can help you create content that's timely, that's engaging, that's exactly what your audience wants to see at that time. And you can use tools like Trend Hunter or Next Atlas to do that. So once you have these insights and you know what you've done, what worked and what didn't, we can move over into how you can plan your posting and your calendar. So you can do so by first identifying a few key pillars of content that you want to use. We at Social Bee call them content categories. You can call them buckets, pillars, however you want to. The principle still applies. It's basically a way for you to leverage AI and determine some types of content that you can use to make sure that you have a balanced content mix, to make sure that your social media content is aligned with what your audience wants to see, with their interests, with industry trends, with brand objectives, of course, so that you can reach those objectives and get higher and higher. And you can see here on the screen a few examples of how you can use AI to generate some content pillars. Now, once you have those pillars in place, you're going to go further with AI and you're going to suggest an optimized content schedule. And you can basically do this by asking the AI to create a content calendar that's fit for your needs. You're going to specify your needs in your prompt and then mention factors that you would like to have considered. Maybe, I don't know, content pillars, maybe time zones, maybe different peak activity, seasons, seasonality, best posting times that you have from your insights that you can introduce into your posting calendar here. And work on all of that in order to get the best scheduled times and the best calendar for your specific needs and your specific audience. And once you do that, we're going to move into performance tracking. You can use the AI to monitor how your content performs and then start the process all over again. So you can look at metrics like engagement rates, you can look at click-through rates, you can look at conversions, you can pretty much look at any type of metric that is valuable to you, and AI can provide some insights into how effective your content is to reach your objectives and help you refine your content and your posting to make sure that it is accurate for what you want to achieve with it. And you can also optimize your strategy moving forward by telling the AI when and what you've posted, what engagement you've had, and therefore get some suggestions for improvement. And I have I have here 2 prompts for you. One of them for determining your metrics or which metrics to track in case you don't know exactly which ones to go for. The prompt is, our plan is to build an engaged community on Instagram. Obviously, you would include your own objective here. What metrics should we track to measure our performance? And once you know exactly what metrics you should track, you can move on to the second one and identify areas that you need to improve. So my Facebook strategy is to grow and make more sales. I don't know. You determine all of those fill in the blanks, I like to call them. So add your types of content pillars, best times, anything that you might have. And then in the last 3 months, I have 10K likes on my page, but 0 likes on my posts. Let's say this is absurd, but yeah, if my goal was to bring in sales, how can I change my strategy? And the AI will analyze all the information that you provided there and follow up with some ways in which you can optimize everything all together. So I'm not going to bore you any longer. I'm just here with one more thing. I want to remind you that AI is a tool, and as Chris said before me, you need to learn how to use it just like you did with Google. So I have 3 pieces of advice for you. Number 1, do not underestimate AI. I think it's a very valuable tool with advanced capabilities. As long as you provide clear and specific instructions, it will be there to help you just like a team member would. Number 2, don't forget to tweak your commands and your prompts and make sure you improve the generated content. So don't just take the first draft of your response as the good to go. Improve on it, work on it a little more, add your personal touch on top, and make sure that it works specifically for what you do. This will also, in time, allow you to make better prompts and give better instructions that will then lead to shorter times working on that content. And then the final piece of advice that I have here is to provide feedback on your content and on your results with the AI to make sure that the AI learns from this experience and kind of improves and works on how it can provide the best type of content for you. Now, if you've stuck around for this long, thank you so much for doing so. And if you're interested in using Social Bee, you can take advantage of our special offer. We are offering 50% off for 3 months on any of the plans. And by the way, it's a very affordable tool anyway, so this is a really good deal. You can use the discount code SocialBee50 × 3 to take advantage of this deal, and you can just get started with a free trial account by going to app.socialbee.com. If you have any questions, we're going to dive into them next. So let me stop my screen here and let's go into the questions. I do have a few here. So let's see, one from Chris. So what's the most surprising thing you've learned by using AI to evaluate your content? This is really good. I've learned to look past the subjective of I love this content, this is going to perform, because there are times when content that you love, that content that you've poured your heart and soul into and are very proud of, doesn't perform. And you're going to be very subjective of that content and say that, oh no, but this is actually good content, we got to keep it going. And sometimes the harsh reality is that you don't. So it really helped me move past that subjectivity and see the data more than the sentiment of the content in this scenario. The next question that I have here is how can you use AI to stay on top of the latest trends if it only goes to 2021? Well, that's with ChatGPT, but you can also use Bard and other AI tools to kind of improve on that. But also AI learns a lot. So the more people use it, the more it's going to become a little more and more accurate. And there's a lot of AI assistants that are building on your specific habits and your specific workflows in tools like Socialbee and like ClickUp and like Aweber and so on. So you're going to be able to use those tools to your advantage. Next question. What do you mean by content pillars? Do I have to explain this concept to AI? Very good question. Content pillars. Basically, any good social media strategy should have different types of content that you're using. We usually call it a balanced content mix. It's basically a way for you to make sure that your audience doesn't get bored of the same thing over and over again. Because this is an example that I always give. I have a water bottle, and if I sell water bottles, I'm not just going to shove them in your face and just say, hey, buy my water bottle. No, because that can become boring, it can become tedious, and the audience will get bored and ignore my content. Instead, I'm going to promote my water bottle here and there, but I'm also going to add content that educates on why you should drink more water. I'm going to add content that builds on memes on shoot, I forgot to drink water, or sup dude for a surfer guy who doesn't drink enough water. So it's a way for you to build on different types of content and create a balanced mix so that your audience stays engaged and interacting with your content. And no, you do not have to explain this concept to AI. For the most part, any good strategy should have this, and I feel like AI is capable of figuring out different pillars, provided that you give the correct prompt, of course. Okay, I have 2 more questions, and then we're going to drop this. So the next question is, do you have any suggestions for prompt tweaks that have really worked for you? I guess the answer in here is depending on what the prompt actually is. For me, the biggest tweak is in the way I format my information. So basically, the first draft is always going to be write an email about this, this, and this, not caring so much about the tone because I want to make sure that the information is there. And then the next step would be, okay, now rephrase that email into an informal, semi-formal tone, making sure that this stays in a friendly manner, not too professional. I do not want best regards, and but not too informal, because I do not want dear Chris in my customer success email, for instance, or in my social media posts. I wanted to keep the same tone throughout my posts. So I guess the summary of that is that it depends on what type of prompt I have in the beginning. Am I analyzing? Am I creating? It depends. And then the final question that I have here is, Socialbee a platform, a company that does marketing, services, both? Please elaborate. That's a very good question to end with. So Socialbee is a social media scheduler, which means it's a tool that you can use to schedule your content for social media. You can do so on platforms like Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, TikTok, Google My Business, Pinterest. I feel like I'm missing something. LinkedIn. I feel like I'm missing something, so there might be more. But so that's part one. It's a tool. It can help you schedule your own content. But we also act as kind of like a half agency, I like to call it, where you can add services on top of the tool to get access or help with specific areas of your social media or your digital marketing. So for instance, if you are using Social Bee as a tool to create your content, schedule it, and all of that. And one day you find that you are overbooked and you do not have the capacity to work on your social media, you can just add a social media specialist service on top of your platform plan and have us do the work for you. You can just approve it and do everything like that. So yeah, I think it's a bit of both. And we do have a lot of elaborate webinars on our YouTube channels as well, talking about Social Bee in more in depth. And you can also book a call with us in case you need a complete walkthrough. That's also something that you can do. And we have a lot of resources available. So I guess that's it for today, this afternoon, depending on where you are in the world. Thank you so much for joining us and for sticking with us until the end. It's clearly been a long day for me. We appreciate every one of you who joined the webinar, whether live or whether you're watching a recording. You will be getting the recording, by the way, just to reiterate that. Thank you to Kimber at Smart Sites, Chris and Chris from ClickUp and from Aweber for joining me today. I think it was a very insightful session. So you have a lot to digest, and I'll leave you with that. Thank you all for joining today.